classes that I teach vary greatly in size, some from as few as 10 students to as large as 38 to 40 students, or when I put the two sections of choir together, as many as 80. And when I deal with that, I deal with a lot of diverse learning needs in my classrooms. So technology really provides me with a way to address these learning needs. Whether it be with my lower achieving students or my more limited students, such as those in my adaptive music class who have special needs, or if it was my more advanced students. I think sometimes when we talk about differentiated instruction, we forget that that means both for our lower achieving and our higher achieving students. And sometimes we assume that those higher achieving students will be fine and their needs kind of fall by the wayside to try and reach those who are struggling a little bit more. So technology really provides for some neat ways to meet the needs of all of our students. When I am looking at the needs of my lower achieving or more limited students, I really enjoy some of the options that I have. For instance, I have several students who are nonverbal students, and in order to communicate, they rely on sign language, but a lot of people don't understand sign language. So another option that they have is they can work with switches. And switches can be pre-recorded to give any response that is necessary. So if a student can potentially select from multiple things, they can have as many as 4 responses, and they can choose the appropriate one as they see necessary. If they don't have that option, they can have a single switch, and that switch can just have one response, and they just need to push it when they need it. It's kind of a neat thing. Additionally, what I really enjoy is on Windows 7, which is what's installed on our school computers, there's a really neat tool called the snipping tool. And as I rely on my LCD projector to put images up on the board, the students have an option to see what's going on, but if they can't process it, if it's too busy, if there's too much going on, I can highlight any portion of the screen and they can see that in isolation. So they can learn to process smaller chunks versus everything at once. And that's kind of a neat thing. Along that same line is my Evervision document camera that I use in class. And what I really enjoy about that is that I can put things under the camera and they can see it in real time and I can edit. So if we're working on a worksheet or a project, I can put it under the document camera and I can do the worksheet with the students. They can see what's going on, they can come and contribute to it, and they can see it. And when I hook it into my computer, I can save images, I can save videos, I can pull things up on the computer and I can highlight, I can draw on them, I can leave notes. So if I want to save a process of something, I can save multiple steps and they can follow along later, which is pretty cool. I really enjoy that. Another thing that makes a big difference in my classroom is my website. And that makes a big difference for me and for my students and even for the parents of my students. For me, it allows me to put a bunch of information in one place, so as I travel to different rooms or different schools, it's all in one place and I can access it quickly and easily. For my students, it's great because every class has its own page on the website, and so what I get to do then is upload rehearsal recordings for my classes that sing. I get to upload assignments. I get to upload different information and provide links to videos that we use in class and all sorts of things. My lesson plans are on there, and every day when my kids come into class, the lesson plans are on the LCD projector so they can see what we're going to do. And those lesson plans are correlated with the National Standards for Music Education, so they can see that this is maybe not something that I just decided to do, but it's assessing something that I'm expected to teach and they're expected to learn. So that's kind of cool. Parents have access to that too, as well as the announcements on my homepage, and they have links to PowerSchool so that they can monitor their students' grades. But the other cool thing is that when that's online, if a student is sick or is unable to be in class, they can still go to their class page and get information that they need to stay caught up. So the walls of my classroom kind of come down, and the class is a lot more far-reaching, which is kind of cool. They get the option to do a lot of different stuff, and they don't need me over their shoulder necessarily to be practicing or to be working, because they've got access to everything no matter where they go. When I'm working on creating rehearsal recordings, one of the cool things that I have access to is a program called Smart Music. And I really enjoy Smart Music because it also helps students to rehearse on their own, even if they don't have piano skills. Smart Music has a lot of music preloaded into it. And the way that it works is that you sing into a microphone, or if you're an instrumentalist, you play into the microphone. And it follows the music as you play or sing, and it'll highlight each note red if it's wrong, and it'll show you what you did do and where you did it, or green if it's right, or if it didn't hear you, then it's black. So you get to see the percentage of things that you did right, things that you can improve. It records you in real time, so if you think that you did get it right, but it says you got it wrong, you can go back and hear, and that's pretty cool. You can submit recorded assignments in there, and it creates an inbox for teachers so that they can go and do things on their own and then send it to you, and you can monitor it, and that's pretty cool. But the other thing is, I can just make rehearsal recordings in there really quickly and upload them to Smart Music so they can rehearse, or make MP3 files so that I can put them online. And additionally, with my Finale, which is notation software, I can upload files that I've created or composed myself, and it'll follow those just as well as anything that was preloaded into there. So that's kind of a neat piece of technology. Other things that I really enjoy, I use my LCD projector all the time, but especially since I've gotten my new iPad that I use in the classroom. The iPad is fantastic for a ton of different uses. It cuts down on transition time. I can pull things up on the LCD projector and touch and make things work very easily. There's a lot of really cool educational apps out there right now, and so in coordination with a smartboard, just like I can touch things on my iPad, I can pull up the app on the screen, and the students can touch as well. So it's very kinesthetic. I really enjoy the fact that if I'm trying to show them something, for instance, we're doing a piano unit in one of my voice tech classes, I can pull up GarageBand and I can show them on the keyboard in GarageBand exactly what I expect them to do. So I don't have to walk around to 14 different keyboards and show them. They can see it in one spot and rehearse and figure things out. That's pretty cool. I use YouTube all the time in my classrooms because I think that there's a lot of good content on there. Even if there's some stuff that's questionable, I think we're living in an era where technology is kind of something that the students grow up with, and they need to learn how to filter things. So if we incorporate things like that, it kind of demystifies it. They don't have to, they don't really have to worry about finding appropriate or inappropriate things, because if we can show them, they can learn how to do that. And a lot of schools block programs like YouTube or websites like YouTube. But Fargo Public Schools does a really good job of saying, if you have an educational use for a website, we'll give you the password and you can access that website, but you need to maintain control of your keyboard and mouse at all times when there are students in the classroom. So that's kind of cool. They have access to that. I use Google Docs a lot in my classes, especially now, again, with my iPad. I can create forms and surveys, so as I go around and grade different people on projects, I just have to touch things, and it'll automatically submit the data that I collect and compile it into a single spreadsheet where I can access it later. That's kind of cool. Even as far as I do daily writing assignments in my choirs where the students take notes and then I put them into forms on Google Docs, and they get points for each question that they answer. But then at the end of the quarter, I can print off everything that they've said, and they have a whole list of all of the stuff that they've told me throughout the entire quarter, which is pretty cool because it just kind of keeps track of it. So that's kind of neat. There's a lot of different uses for technology, and I think it's fantastic. I think we're living in a very technological era, and kids today grow up with things that I didn't grow up with 10 years ago, or that people who are 20 years older than me maybe really didn't understand and struggle with now. But I think we have a responsibility to expose our students to those things because it is the era that they know. It was interesting when you look at the stories you see online. I recently encountered an article where a little girl thought that a magazine was an iPad that didn't work. And that really is the era we're growing up in. So if we choose not to expose our students to these technological things, we're really doing them a disservice. And that's unfortunate. So I try to keep up. I try to implement different things because it helps me to reach my different abled learners, whether it's higher or lower achieving. And it does some great things for them.